Well, welcome everyone to today's Chicago Financial Empowerment Summit. Again, my name is Jason Schraub, and I am your host today for the master classes that we're having throughout the day. Today's session right here at 10:30 a.m. is around financial planning for small businesses, and we have a treat for you. We are filled with panelists to be talking about their experiences both around coaching small businesses, as small businesses, ways that they've accessed capital, and much more. So we'll be moderated by Damian Carson. We will also be joined by Rachel Hood from Operation Hope, Carl Riley II from Fifth Third Bank, and then our resident entrepreneurs here in Miss Adriane Mack and Ms. Renzi Boswell. And so this is going to be a panel discussion led by Damian Carson on their experiences. Please do feel free to ask questions at any time through the Q&A button that you see on the bottom of your screen. We have moderators who are watching and keeping track of the Q&A so that we can make sure that our panelists, as well as our experts who are behind the scenes, are able to go ahead and answer those questions. At the end of this panel, we will also have an opportunity for direct Q&A. And after this panel, we will also be having sessions on home ownership. We will have a fireside chat between Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin and Operation Hope Chairman and CEO John Hope Bryant, as well as a masterclass on investing in the stock market and on financial literacy for youth. So a lot of great stuff coming up today, but I'm sure for all of you entrepreneurs, small business owners, and those who want to be entrepreneurs, you are looking forward to this session, and there is a lot to get excited about. So without any further ado, allow me to turn this over to Mr. Damian Carson to go ahead and get us started. Over to you, Damian.
Right. Thank you, Jason. Good afternoon. Good morning to everyone. As Jason mentioned, we're excited to be here for the Financial Empowerment Summit. And today I'm excited to introduce our guests, and they're going to go through and give a brief introduction about themselves as well as their business. And today what we really want to accomplish is to provide resources as well as educate you to maybe empower you to make a decision. So we're going to talk about if you started a business, you're looking to start a business, or perhaps you want to grow your business, but more importantly, the resources. And so I want to kick it over to Ms. Renzi Boswell for intro, and we're going to go down the list. So we're going to hear from Renzi Boswell first, Ms. Rachel Hood, Adriane Mack, and then we're going to hear from Carl Riley. And we're going to jump in and have a great conversation this morning. So Ms. Boswell, kick us off, please.
Good morning, everyone. My name is Renzi Boswell. As Damian mentioned, I am the owner of Boswell and Associates Financial Services. We are located in Homewood, Illinois at this time. I've been in the system for over 25 years. And what I mean the system, I've been in the accounting and taxation system for over 25 years. I started at the age of 18 for my love for accounting. And find out and honed it in a little bit and found out taxation is the way I want to go. Currently, I am enrolling in the enrolled agent program, and I am going to be listed and authorized by the IRS to take taxation to the next level. I'll be able to present in court and things like that. So I'm super excited. Again, I've been in the business for over 25 years, and I offer seminars to help assist people with learning and understanding taxation and the current tax laws that are out there. So it's just a great entity and love. And the good thing about it, I only work 5 months out the year. So I'm super happy about that, stoked about that.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Boswell.
You're welcome.
Rachel Hood, how are you?
I'm wonderful. Thank you so much. Great to see you, Damian. Thanks for having me. My name is Rachel Hood. I am an accredited financial coach and a financial wellness coach with Operation Hope. I'm so pleased to be here today to talk to you about what we do here at Operation Hope. It really is extraordinary. And I'm extra pleased to have one of my clients and friends on this panel as well, Miss Adriane Mack. So I'm really, really looking forward to you all hearing from her. She's incredible. And I am a small business coach, and I also provide credit and money management to small business owners and others in the community. I do that virtually now, of course, across the country. And I do have a program for small business owners and dreamers, all women, sponsored by CIT Bank, coming up starting in January, called Hope Inside Launch and Grow. So I'm going to drop in the chat the link to register for that as well. You want to take a look.
Awesome. Thank you. And Ms. Mack, I know Rachel referenced you a little bit. Tell us who you are.
Hi, everyone. Good morning. My name is Adriane Mack. I am the CEO of Miss Mack Enterprises and Curated Culture Life. Miss Mack Enterprises is a business development firm. We bring social impact and economic empowerment and business outcomes together. So we're all about helping businesses thrive, make more money, build more capacity in their business, and also retain and build their employees. Curated Culture Life is an arts travel business. So believe it or not, even during COVID, people are still traveling. And so we've launched an educational travel platform allowing parents and children and college kids to go out and travel in different areas and learn about culture, history, science, according to those cultures. And then also for art, we represent many different artists, from Daniel Lanzalota, who's an environmental artist, to the Delakian brothers, who are now currently featuring art about the Armenian War. So we're really excited about all of what we have going on in the United States and around the world.
Awesome. Thank you, Ms. Mack. And my man, Mr. Riley.
How you doing? Good morning, everybody. My name is Carl Riley. I'm with Fifth Third Bank. I serve as a small business community lender for the Chicagoland area. I support business owners under $10 million and help them grow above that number. So if you're looking for some support in regards to owning your real estate and lines of credit, equipment loans, that's what we talk about. If I can't do it, I'll refer you to another bank that can help you. You're in good hands right now with Operation Hope.
Awesome. Thank you. So we had a chance to hear from each of our panelists. I'm excited. Anytime I get a chance to link up and share resources and just talk about, what we do at Operation Hope, and then also hearing from the business owners who've actually been in the trenches, who've gone through startup, who had sleepless nights and was able to overcome. And that's what it's all about. We want that message to permeate everything that we share on today. And I can't help but to kick this panel off around the notion of the pandemic. I mean, when you think about COVID-19 and the challenges that is presented to so many individuals, so many businesses, some of the statistics have shown that upwards of 40% of particularly Black and minority-owned businesses have had to shut down, had to close doors. We've seen the news through PPP and some resources that was available that may not have hit some of the mom and pop or micro enterprises and things of that nature. But we want to talk about, and I want to kick it over to Mr. Riley there, because anytime we talk about starting to grow in a business, it's always, where can I get some money? Capital, capital, capital. And I know, Mr. Riley, you played an integral part in assisting individuals through the pandemic to get connected to resources. But I want to hear from you first, and then we're going to pass it to one of our business owners, and then we're going to hear from Rachel's perspective what she was able to see through this time.
Definitely, right. So, right now we are finding ourselves in a pandemic, in a time that none of us expected, and we are still having to do the things we have to do. Right, we have to provide for our families, or we have to maintain our companies and make sure we're here after this thing is over, because it will be over. Right. So, people like Renzi with her accounting and tax business is going to help you. If you're a business owner, you need to get your financials in order, which means just knowing where you are. If you're losing money, we're all not making money this year, right? So you just need to know how bad it is and figure out what you can do to limit your, to be around, to be sustainable, right? So limit your expenses. So, the first thing that I'm going to ask you for is, how are you doing year to date versus last year? Every banker wants to see, okay, it's down 15% or is it down 30%? We know you're down. If you're up, there are a few industries that are up, which is kind of cool. And they're they're taking advantage of this thing. I mean, this pandemic has been a blessing to their business, but you have to know your numbers. So I'm a banker. I'm not a VC firm or private equity. I'm not your family member, so I can't make that first initial investment. But if you show me some tax returns and you show me some financials, I can support you with, general banking stuff, lines of credit and stuff like that. So you asked about that PPP. So PPP, well, it was a good program, and it helped a lot of people. It helped a lot of business owners that were organized get what they needed to get. If they were not organized, they did not have payroll set up prior to, they were doing things as a hobby. I found it to be a very frustrating experience. And if you are frustrated in that PPP program, you need to talk to a CPA or accountant and get yourself organized. Talk to a banker, myself, and I'll tell you the truth about what's going on so you can get organized. So. Awesome.
Thank you, Kelvin. Carl. I have a good friend named Kelvin who was texting me earlier. So you're a good friend of mine now, Carl. When you talked about the numbers and you mentioned organized and payroll, and I had a chance to talk to Ms. Boswell as I pitched it over to her, and we had a discussion around what does that look like from an organization standpoint, because that's one of the things that, again, we want individuals to be able to take away, that these are key things that you need to have in place, regardless if we're dealing with COVID-19 or whatever the case may be, which are foundational principles and processes that you must have in place in order to survive and thrive through this pandemic. So when Mr. Raleigh talked about organization, I know you jumped up and wanted to share something. So when you hear that, what does organization look like from your perspective?
Organization means the business owner has to know that even though they are the business, they can't treat their banking as if it's their personal piggy bank. So they have to organize. They have to separate, like they say, religion from state. You have to separate business from personal. And you absolutely have to know that you can pay yourself. You can't just reach into the piggy bank and say, oh, I'm going to take $500 to apply it to my personal expenses. There has to be a paper trail. The banking, as Mr. Riley stated, it has to be a paper trail. A lot of people couldn't get the PPP because of that very simple fact. There was no organization in their payroll structure. So you got a company, a corporation that's saying they're a corporation, yet there's no wages, there's no payroll, there's no self-employment, there's nothing. They're at a loss because the bank can't provide or they can't prove that paper trail.
So it's important when we talk about the things that we've talked about thus far, and I think Mr. Riley wanted to share it, and I'm gonna pitch it back to you. It's important to really have a team. As you see, each person that's represented on this panel plays an integral part in being part of your team. And so, again, it excites me because it takes a village to hear from what is the banks looking like? Well, what does Ms. Boswell have to share around organization, and what does that look like? I love that, separate religion from state, and you can't just tap into your piggy bank or what have you. So Mr. Riley, I want to have you jump in, and then also I want to hear from Ms. Mack, because she's about metrics and data. And so hopefully she can share on the importance of metrics and data and knowing those numbers. So Mr. Riley, you was going to share something.
Yeah, you have your four partners, your banker, your accountant, your lawyer, and your insurance person. You got to have those four. And I'm just going to step back for a second and listen to what Adriane Mack is saying. So,
gotcha. Say that again, those 4 Ps.
So you got to your banker, you got to have a banker, and that's not the banker at the teller window, but your banker like at the branch, like talk to them, have a conversation and figure out what you can do in your account. You're a lawyer, there's different types of lawyers, right? So naturally you want to find somebody to help you set up your corporation or your S corporation or whatever LLC properly. And then of course, mitigate your risk with your insurance person, proper business insurance, because if you're doing something right now, we have not got coverage from Congress yet. If you're operating your business during COVID, you may be able to get sued by your employees for getting COVID. So you need to have proper business insurance. We learned about that June 1st when we had the riots, looting and stuff like that. So insurance is very important. and then that accountant, that CPA. I mean, there's ways of doing things. So if you're trying to save money on taxes every year, you're going to look bad on your tax returns. You're going to show me something that shows you make no money. I need you to think about what you're trying to do next year. Are you trying to buy a building? Are you trying to get a line of credit? Do you need to show me a profit? So that way I can use those numbers to show that you are profitable and you have cash flow to support a loan. So that's where we're going with those 4 advisors. And we all kind of conflict, but we talk to each other about the plan, trying to buy a building, trying to grow, trying to hire people, trying to sell. Then we all can come together and come up with a plan for you. So.
Awesome, thank you. Miss Mack, you smiling away, shaking your head. Talk to us.
So repeat the question one more time. I liked his answers. That's why I was shaking my head.
No doubt. Yeah. So really, from your experience and what you've seen, maybe from operating a business and working with business owners, some key things that they need to have in place to not only survive through the pandemic, but also thrive through the pandemic.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I have done, as well as what I've been coaching with businesses that I'm working with on how to pivot during COVID, is making sure that you have a good support group. If anybody is a parent like myself, we are definitely in need of different types of resources. So of course, Rachel is a resource for me if I need help with looking at my credit, having other small business owner friends that could all share different grants and opportunities that are happening out there. I cannot tell you that without my mentor, you definitely need a mentor to help you bounce ideas off of, practice things with, let them look things over. Having a mentor is so key. You don't know everything, and you don't, where you would like to go financially in your life is the person that you should have as your mentor. So if you want to be a multimillionaire, you should be getting advice from a multimillionaire. You should be taking that time to rub shoulders with those people and absorb that information. And as I mentioned, having somebody like Operation Hope, like I mentioned with Rachel Hood, if I ever have questions about business or questions about my credit or how to put my budget together, because sometimes, what I'm learning is my business is growing during COVID, and I am actually making money. So as I'm making more money, I had to adjust my budget. And so I'm excited about that. So actually, Rachel, I need to call you after this. So anyway, with all that being said, having someone to help you structure your budget, having someone who's fiscally smart to help you with that, and then also having a mentor to help you grow, even in times like this, to bounce ideas off of, listen to, and get advice from, definitely has helped me keep my business growing and helped me pivot during this time of COVID.
Awesome. And we're going to talk about pivot. So I'm going to come back to you once we hear from Rachel to kick off the whole notion around pivot and what that meant to you. Rachel, I hear so much great things about you and what you're doing there with Operation Hope. Tell me about, from your perspective, what you see, because I know Ms. Mack could also reference credit. Perhaps did that play a role, or what did you see from your perspective that you think would be some great insight for businesses out there listening to us today?
Sure. Yeah. And I think what Mr. Riley said too about who's on your team and what Adriane said about who's on your team is something that's so important. And I want to note that Operation Hope services are 100% at no cost to the participants. So everything that we do here at Operation Hope is at no cost. And I worry sometimes with our small business owners and small business dreamers, people who maybe you're maybe going to start a business, but you're not sure, maybe you're doing a side hustle and you want to really formalize it. And we're talking about get an attorney, get an accountant, get an insurance advisor. And that seems maybe sort of like a lot, right? It's a lot of money. It's an outlay. We've got to pay these people. And I want to note a couple resources that might be helpful as well, because there are lots of options available to small business owners and dreamers that are at low cost or no cost. For example, there may be legal clinics. There may be in, the small business development centers. A great nonprofit called Start Small, Think Big offers legal assistance and accounting assistance. when you have a network and when you have mentors, and as Adriane said, when you know other small business owners, people can tell you about those things in your city, and what's going on and how you access those resources. So know that those things are out there, for you to take advantage of, including Operation Hope. But I think that's something to keep in mind. You can do those things, and even insurance, you think, oh, insurance, but if you're, for example, if you're a mental health practitioner and you're starting a practice, that insurance might be as low as $5 a month, right? So really look into those things and make sure you are covering yourself, that you're setting things up properly so that you have that, you're got the insurance, you've got the risk covered, but that can be doable. It's doable.
Right. That's it. It's doable. And so we want individuals to know, and thank you for that, Rachel, that the services at Operation Hope are at no cost, that we're part of the ecosystem that works with the SBDC and some of these organizations that could be a trusted referral source for you in many cases, to be able to just to take a look and share some insight there that can help you succeed and grow and make money. And I have one exciting announcement to make a little bit later on that even talks more about partnership and resources that I think everybody's going to be excited about. So I'm trying to keep that cat in the bag a little while longer. But Ms. Mack, you talked about pivoting. When did you know you needed to pivot? And the reason I ask it is I've seen many businesses that continue to want to hold on to their beginning business model. Like, this is what it is. This is what I'm going to do. And I'm not going to make adjustments. How did you know it was time for you to pivot? And how is that going for you thus far?
Excellent question. I had to pivot when I lost a $52,000 contract when COVID hit, when we had to shut down, when the world had to shut down. And as a single parent, it was go time. I had to replace that income. So that's when I knew I had to pivot. But also, not that I needed like a bell or a whistle to say, hey, time to pivot. I mean, as a small business owner, and if you really, really are about this entrepreneurship life, you are constantly pivoting. So I just want to make sure that you guys keep that in mind. Pivoting isn't just because of COVID. Since I've went full-time entrepreneur, I have constantly pivoted my business. So what did I do? I immediately transferred my training, recruitment, and retention services to online. I immediately focused on my arts and travel business, focusing online. I built up my online marketing presence. I actually hired 2 people to help me do more social media outreach, and beef up my LinkedIn and beef up my Instagram and Facebook, and I'm still doing it as we speak. And I changed my website probably twice to, again, reflect what my business is now doing during COVID. I also was able to deep dive. So when I say business development, of course, I work with many different industries, but what I looked at was the industry that needed the most support, and that was the hospitality industry. So I pivoted and got a contract with Restaurant Opportunity Center, which is a national organization. They have 10 cities throughout the country, training low income and also startup food businesses on customer service, budgeting, all the things that you need to know and how to start your business. Of course, I do those classes with them. And then also currently working with Stella Artois and Mosaic USA, helping restaurants, which they just did one in Chicago, in fact. A couple weeks ago, they just did an art installation and kind of made a restaurant district, and Stella Artois donated different greenhouses and globes so people can go out to eat and still support outdoor dining during the winter months. And now we're working on the project here in New York and Harlem, helping Black-owned, women-owned businesses take advantage of these, greenhouses. So these are some of the things that I've been doing, is focusing on deep diving into one industry so I can really be effective, and also just understanding that pivoting just happens, period. I mean, whether it's COVID or not, if you see something in your business, you're not making enough money, or a product is not moving, you have to be willing to pivot. You have to be willing to let things go and say, well, you know what? maybe I shave this way and turn it this way, it'll be more profitable. So think of pivoting as not just like a crisis thing, but a way to stay sustainable and grow.
Awesome. I love that. To think about pivoting. And I know we got people in the chat box, so maybe they caught that to put it in the chat box and retweet it. But it's about staying on top of your business and things of that nature. And so I'm getting a bunch of text messages, and so I'm gonna have to let the cat out the bag, right? So I got a chief text message, and so I'm excited, and I'm pivoting. So that's the good thing. You want to be flexible, and you got to know when to pivot. And so here's my time to pivot, because we talked about partnerships, we talked about teamwork, we talked about accessibility and what that looks like. And I'm going to read a quote that tees up what I want to talk about. But it says that talent is everywhere, but opportunity just isn't distributed equally. I think we could all to attest to that. The entire mission at Shopify is to level the playing field to make it easier to start and scale a business. Here's the key. It's not only to start businesses, but also empower those businesses, become role models to create a movement. So what are you saying, Damian? If you hadn't heard, Operation Hope has a partnership with Shopify that's upwards of $130 million over the next 10 years to help start and grow 1 million businesses. Now, when you talk about partnership and you talk about accessibility and being able to level the playing field, that is huge. Because Ms. Mack even talked about e-commerce and having to switch up the website. And Shopify is a platform that's going to allow businesses to now do business all over the world. And so we're so excited about it. We're going to have the link here to find out more information. You can get connected. And so the entry is going to be through Operation Hope. You can take advantage of some of the resources for small business coaching, entrepreneurship, et cetera, to really position your business to thrive and to grow. And so I saw people clapping. I'm clapping again. I was wanting to wait and save it to the end, but we went ahead and dropped that cat out the bag. So hopefully you all will stay with us, right? And we're going to get to the Shopify piece. But I did want to announce that 1 million Black businesses over the next 10 years to really help grow capacity to scale. And that's what it's all about. And so when we talk about partnerships, we talked about pivot, we talked about the pandemic. One of the things that I want to talk about now is access to capital. And I want us to think through not only from the lens of the lender, which we have Mr. Riley on the panel, but then also from the standpoint of Rachel, this is where you can help us out, perhaps the various grants. Because prior to COVID-19, oftentimes many people, well, how do I get a grant? You know, I want to get a grant. And it was almost like hitting the lottery. And hopefully many people may not play the lottery, but that's what it was like on your opportunity to access grants and things of that nature. But now in today's climate, there's various resources available, whether it be a grant or even possibly a pitch competition that provides accessibility for businesses to grow. And so, Ms. Boswell, I want to kick it back over to you. And what do you see as the number one or number two thing that people have to have in place, businesses, to start that access to capital journey from your perspective? What have you seen?
I believe people need to know what type of entity they want to involve themselves in. And the entity meaning a sole proprietorship, an S corporation, a corporation, limited liability. So in order to know, you have to have that foundation. It's not just in the name. It's not just in a name. It's you have to know what type of entity you want to be involved in and what your tax ramifications will be going forward for yourself.
Gotcha. Let's talk about tax ramifications. Now, and I'm not doing this to scare anybody.
Okay.
But I know you got some stories, because when we talk about why businesses fail, and I don't want to go down that lane too far.
Okay.
With this notion of not paying taxes or the IRS.
Mm-hmm.
why is it so important to pay your taxes and pay them on time?
It's important to pay your taxes on time because of one, you don't want to get caught up in tax evasion. That's number one. Two, you just want to pay what's due to the IRS. Figure out a way that your taxes, that you're not overpaying or underpaying. Everybody has a breaking point where sometimes they have to say, I need my money and I need my money now. So therefore they change their exemptions or their deductions, or they just don't pay taxes. They go to that employer and say, hey, exempt me. I'll pay the taxes at the end of the year. But then when the end of the year comes, when they file their taxes, they don't have that money. And Uncle Sam is going to hit you with fines, penalties, assessments, all of those things. And that adds up. So what you thought you owed $7,000, now you add $10,000 because of those things. Now, there are ways that you can address the IRS and have them write off things or ask for forgiveness or an abatement, as they call it. But long story short, it's a gamble. The bottom line is we're here to pay taxes. You must pay your taxes and you must pay them on time.
Must pay your
there's another
taxes.
point to that.
Yeah, go ahead, Riley.
So what I've noticed is that some business owners want to make everybody be part-time or like not 1099, right? So what happens is dangerous. It's very dangerous, because what happens is if you tell somebody what time to be at work, or you tell somebody hours they're working, they're not a 1099 employee. They're an employee. They're yours. And so you need to talk to Ms. Boswell, a CPA, accounting professional, or Paycor, Paylocity, ADP, and make sure that you're paying these people correctly, right? This would have helped everybody with PPP. You're paying them through a payroll service, and now all the liability, when I talk about liability, I'm talking about tax liability, is on the payroll company. Mm-hmm. I once had a nanny taking care of my child in my home. I'm a regular person, right? Regular guy, banking job, but providing home care for my child. I had to make sure I was using Paycor to have that handled, because they can come back to me and say, you owe payroll taxes, and these are the penalties. And now you get a tax lien. You get a tax lien, I cannot lend you $1, because if I lend you $1 and they take it out the bank account, you and I are looking at each other. When I say they take it out the bank account, I mean the IRS will levy your bank account. And I've seen it. I've had stories where business owners owned a daycare, owned a real estate free and clear, had $90,000 in the bank account, told me they didn't need my services. I'm happy, Carl. My building's paid for. I don't need anything from you. Your bank account is just good enough for me. And then they call me on a Monday morning and say, Riley, your bank took $30,000 from me. And I said, let me take a look at that. That sounds crazy. And then what I see on there? IRS tax levy. And I say, what happened? Well, I was getting these letters. I said, what do you mean you was getting those letters? He said, well, what happened was I kept on hiring people to work in my business, and then they would quit and they would go file for unemployment. And when they filed for unemployment, the unemployment agency returned the information to the IRS saying that these people were unemployed and they worked for me, but I never paid them through the right process. So now I'm getting levies. So you see, your employees, if you don't process them properly, can mess you up. You can own your building free and clear, you could have cash, but you got to make sure you're doing your payroll properly, because the IRS, that money, that 7.5%, whatever it is, that belongs to the government. It's not you. So paying them cash and paying them with checks, you're only disservicing yourself. So you really need to have a conversation. If you're going to do this thing, make sure you set up payroll. That's one thing.
Awesome.
Can I piggyback off of that?
You can.
Two horror stories. I had a company, the state of Illinois sent the director of employment services there, and she basically told that company, if they come to your job, you provide them with the time, the hours, the tools, the leads, they are your employees. You must pay them, and you must pay their unemployment. The second, I'm dealing with a client now whose company wants to treat him as a 1099, but told him in order to get around that, create a business. So they're not taking the ramification for the tax liability, because they're making him create a business for that. So they can get around not paying taxes, but yet they're providing him with the leads, they're providing him with the clients, they're providing him with all the information, but they told him, this is the only way we'll hire you. You have to create yourself a business and then you can take on that. But again, they're still providing all of those services. And that's, to me, illegal, because that's not what the IRS says an employee is.
That's it.
It's specific in their guidelines and their rules.
That's right. So as you see, we talking about running a business and not a business, so to speak. So it's important to be above approach related, because it's one of those things, either you pay now, you're going to pay later.
Mhm.
So we want to make sure that we get you on the right track, because if you get to going on the wrong track, you can really get into some dangerous situations that you don't want to find yourself in, that instead of allowing that business to help you create wealth and be an asset, it now becomes a liability, right? And so you want to make sure you can get with a trusted resource who understands what it looks like to do things the right way. Because not only do you need to do things the right way, because that's what you should do to get access to capital, but you also need to have those measurements in place related to even applying for various grants, right? And so, with that, they're looking for, sometimes tax returns. They're looking at profit and loss statements. They're looking at some of these pro forma documents that you need to have in place. And so if you out there and you saying, and I always tell people, I graduated thank you laude. Some people graduated cum laude, magna cum laude like Rachel. I graduated thank you laude. And so if you out there and you know that numbers get your stomach tight, or you want to run from it, or hide under mattress, don't do that. That the more people that you can have help that's going to assist you, they can get you on the right track. And so if you out there, pay your taxes, get your house in order, so we can take advantage of the opportunities and the resources that's available out there to individuals that can help you not only start your business, but grow your business. And so, Rachel, you on the front line serving and helping businesses, right? What are 2 or 3 things that you would say that's so key and critical that they have to have in place? Like, don't pass go, don't collect $200 until you have these 2 or 3 things in place. What is that?
Well, you've mentioned this a couple times, and one thing is your personal credit. Because sometimes I think we think, well, this is the business and my personal's over here. But when you're a small business and when you're just starting out, the two things are the same. You are the business is you, and they're looking at you to see how you're managing your money and whether you're a good risk or not. And that risk is encapsulated in your credit score, right? So having a good credit score is super important. We as small business coaches, in fact, include a credit report, a free credit report with the FICO score and a review of that when we're talking to small businesses. Why? Because it's so critical in getting funding. When you're applying for a loan, what is your credit score, right? And it's your credit score. And I like to tell people, there's really, don't even think about business credit at this point. It's really about your personal credit. So getting your credit score going in the right direction, ideally above 700, that's the goal. And certainly that's something that we at Operation Hope are passionate about. A good credit score can really open doors and change lives. So we can help you with that. I think also, as everyone has mentioned, just kind of getting organized, getting all your documents together, making sure you have what you need. And at least for me, I don't know about anybody else, but it's a lot and it's kind of complicated. So get some help with that. No shame in asking for help. In fact, I think the most successful businesses are people who are asking for help all the time. They're calling me up and saying, hey, Rachel, who you got that can help me with this? Who can help me with this? Let's do it together. Like you said, it takes a village, and it really does. And we can be part of your village. but you got to build your village so that you know how to do things. I really think those are kind of the big things. And you got to, just like Adriane said, she lives the entrepreneurial life, and that's it. It's all the time. It's 24 hours a day. It's working. And so I think some people think like, well, I'll quit my job and I'll work less. And Renzi did that. She only works 5 months a year, which sounds great. But not everybody can do that. When you're starting out, it's going to be a lot. So we're here to kind of support you through that too.
Yeah, thank you for that, Rachel. And audience, please feel free. I see some questions coming in the chat. So we want to hear from you all so we can take out some time to answer your questions during the panel discussion to really keep the momentum going and really keep it engaging. One thing that I want to know, and I see some great resources being shared in the chat, and I'm about to kick it over to Miss Mack. So I mentioned pitch competitions. I don't think that you was going to get out of this without talking about a pitch competition that you was able to win. I have some good friends here that went on to win pitch competitions, that was able to raise capital for their business. But for you, Miss Mack, what was that process like? And what would you share with other business owners on why they want to take that chance as well?
Yes, absolutely. So in 2019, I participated in the Hope Inside Operation Hope Launch and Grow Business to Ideas Outcomes, Business Ideas to Outcomes competition. And yes, I won first place nationally, so I'm really excited about that. And we just crowned a new winner just a couple of days ago. For 2020. So anyways, what was the process? So we had to participate in a 12-week course. Of course, this is before Corona, so we were meeting in person, but now that Corona is still out there, they're going to be meeting virtually. And so of course I took these classes and bonded with other women in the class to, learn and share my knowledge. What else did it take? I had to drag my 6-year-old at the time, to these classes. And I always like to talk about the parent experience because I don't want to take away from parents that are building businesses. So yes, I dragged my daughter with me, she had the earphones and the phone in her hand, and this is just part of the journey. And so just, preparing myself, and I had to write my proposal like 3 different times. And every time they offered, hey, there's a clinic to take advantage of, I took advantage of that clinic. Everything that Rachel said, if you have questions, don't be ashamed. Don't be ashamed to ask questions. Don't be ashamed to know that you don't know something. It's okay. You're not perfect. You're a human being. And so that was the process of the practice. I asked other friends that were really great presenters and orators to listen to me present. And so that's how I won. And actually now I'm currently, and I'm happy to share this information with all of our attendees. There's lots of pitch competitions out there. So first of all, make sure you sign up for the Launch and Grow pitch competition that Rachel just mentioned. She dropped the link in the chat. So make sure you do that if you are a woman in business. So of course, it's for women. Second, there are other business pitch competitions that are done for the state, federal, and even like banks. So for example, look into your business library. Sometimes your business library has business pitch competitions. There's business plan competitions. Literally Google business plan pitch competitions and you will see slews of them. Don't be lazy. Go out there, get the information, read the books, find the panels, go to the panel discussions, go to the Eventbrites, look for all the information. It's out there. There's a lot of money out there. Don't let this, as they would say, don't waste a good crisis. So make sure you take advantage and Google, find out about those pitch competitions. You could be the next first place winner like myself.
Awesome. So what I heard from that is being intentional, persevering, to really push through, and you have to want it. E.T. Thomas said you have to want to succeed as bad as you want to breathe. And so from listening to Miss Mack and listening to Miss Boswell, they want to succeed that bad. And so it's looking and Googling and taking a chance. And, you know, and I've had a chance to work with some businesses who may not have won the first pitch competition, right? And so you want to take that success, that failure, and turn it into a win. Like, what did I learn from that? So I can go back to the drawing boards and try again, and literally don't be denied there. And so, Carl, I want to come to you. I see some great things in the chat box. I know you and I had a chance to talk about as we stay in this lane related to access to capital, and hoping this has really been great to the audience that's out there. But you referenced the CDFI. And I think CDFIs have been mentioned more time in the last 6 months than ever before. Can you tell us a little bit about the CDFI? And maybe we can even share one that I think you just put in the Dropbox that you work with there in your perspective position. So talk to us about this CDFI. What is this? What is that?
So just basically what it is, generally they're like loan funds, right? And they do things that banks can't do. Reason why sometimes we have credit score limits that we have to be at, collateral that we have to have, time and business that we have to have, right? So the best way I say is that banks look at your past and they want to see what you did, right? So a CDFI wants to hear a little bit more about what you're trying to do and your future, right? And so what you would do is I've provided 2 of them in there, and I use them all the time for my startups. If you hear my son in the background, I apologize, guys. He misses me. But what I would say is Adriane, right, is one, or Chicago Neighborhood Initiative. They will do up to 50,000, could go up to 100,000 if they use SBA. But Adriane Chicago is a link in there I provided, and CNI. And the strategy is, because you're a small business owner, right? You want to establish a relationship with a small business bank. I recommend Fifth Third because I work at Fifth Third, but because I chose Fifth Third because they do lending in my community, like small businesses. There are 2 other banks in the area. I'll give you their names if you ask me for them, that would also work with people under $10 million. Establish your bank account with them. Then you would go, get your tools like your credit card service, because we're not seeing people physically taking cash anymore. So you want to take payment through your websites or payment through credit card. We have that for you too. But go to Adriane, and the application is kind of cool because it's almost like you're doing a business plan when you fill the application out. So when you try to, skirt by and tell me about how great the business is going to work, you got to tell me the numbers now on their application. You got to tell me your numbers too, personally, what your household budget is, all right? Because you got to be able to survive while you running your business. If you're going to keep your day job and then run your 9 to 5 job and then do your 5 to 9 business, is that going to happen? Is that what you're doing? Let me understand how you're going to pay that rent or mortgage, or are you moving in with your mom and then making this business happen for the next 18 months so you can, get out there and have that whatever you want in the future. So CDFIs are great organizations. Where do they get their funds? They get their funds from banks. We give them donations sometimes to help them to have seed capital so they can make the loans that we can't do. And the best part about it, everybody keeps on saying credit score. Their loans, they take your social security number, your EIN number, and their loans report on your business credit. I love it because I don't have to come in as a first loan, and I can point to it a year from now and say, look, she's paying her bills on time. This is a person who has a bank account with us for a year. She has an Adriane loan, she has a CNI loan, and she's paying it back. The sales have increased year over year. I'm ready to do a line of credit. I'm ready to do a loan. 3 years from now, I'm ready to do a building. Just the conversation, it's a relationship, right? And you have to remember though, when you talk to a banker, what you're trying to do is build a relationship. And it's okay to have 2 or 3 bankers. Honestly, I'll tell you that right now. It's very cool to have 2 or 3 because we all can't do everything. But you got to have that relationship. So you need to give us things we need. We need that 700 credit score. Otherwise, we're going to get harpooned when we put the deal in there. We need you to have some collateral. So, treating your cash like it's collateral and saving it up so that we can point to it and say, look, she's got 60,000 in the bank. It makes the underwriters feel so much calmer that they know that you can cover this note for 6 months if it's a pandemic. We're in a time right now where the things that underwriters write against They try to, think about, can this business sustain if there's a 20% decrease in sales? This is what they are paid to do, to figure out how to make a deal that's going to be safe. So your deposits are there when you're ready to pay your groceries, And so thankfully, Fifth Third has been smart about how they do things and, creative about what they can offer. So we do have SBA financing available. And then, like I said, we use our partners to help us to get that track record, that credit report showing that you have the wherewithal, so we can come in a year from now and refinance that out and give you more. So.
Yeah, thank you, Carl. That was definitely well said and well spoken. And our chat line is blowing up. So I want to pivot here and take some questions from the panelists. And we want to answer them as brief and quick as we can, perhaps, there. So the first question here, and I'm going to pass this one over to Ms. Boswell. The question is, I'm looking to start a candle business. What steps do I take? Do I need to get an LLC before I sell anything, or do I need insurance for the company?
Well, you definitely need an LLC because you have to separate, am I creating a business or am I doing this as a hobby? So you definitely, if you're trying to definitely make it a business and a way of bringing in income, you definitely want to go and establish the LLC first before your first sale. Because that way, again, the income that comes in, if you got a large contract, the income comes in will go to the company and not to you personally.
Awesome. I love that.
And make sure that the LLC is the best entity for you. That's the other key factor.
That's the other key factor. Look, I'm handcuffing the panelists because I know we could go all day about that question. So You make sure to reach out to Ms. Boswell if you need any other further insight around the priority there. That was a great question. Let's see. Ms. Mack, you mentioned a mentor. So I have a teen small business owner inquiring about how do I find a mentor in their position as a teen entrepreneur. Shout out to the teens out there. So how would they go about finding a mentor?
So for a teenager, you said?
For a teenager, teen small
Absolutely.
business.
Oh, so what you want to do is you want to look for somebody that possesses the qualities that you find valuable as a leader. So first of all, you're already a leader. When you're a young person like that with a mind to start creating income and creating your own personal freedom, you already know what to look for in a good mentor. So number one, somebody who's making the income that you want to make. So if that person, for example, someone said a candle business, if you see another person that owns a candle business and they're doing pretty successful, see if they'll be willing to let you work in their store. Those are the ways that you can gain a mentor when you're a teenager. You work for people. You go and work for them. I don't always say for free, but look at it if they say, hey, I'll give you a couple hours as an internship and it's not going to be paid. That's okay. The value that you're going to get is the experience. So when you're a teenager, college student, or even you as a grown adult, if you're starting a new career, don't be afraid to take an opportunity where you're going to take an internship where you may not get paid. The information and experience is invaluable. This is where you'll be able to gain your mentorship, where you'll find out if this person could be a good mentor for you, help guide you in the right direction, connect you to the right resources. Another way to gain a mentor is if your family, or let's say if you're in church, clergy or neighbor are in any associations, right? Maybe they're in the NAACP or a small business organization or a women's or men's organization. You want to see if they have a youth opportunity, youth membership. Is there a way for me to become a member as a teen? Or can I volunteer for this organization so I can meet more people? This is an excellent question because as a teenager, I too had my own little business, and I've been literally having a business since I was 9, starting with a lemonade stand, and entrepreneurship has been inside of my blood since birth. And as a kid, I just found myself always either volunteering or taking jobs or taking internships, and I wasn't scared. So the fact that you started a business, the fact that you're on this webinar right now learning, the fact that you're asking this question lets me know that you're hungry and you could be a multimillionaire before you know it. So yes, volunteer. Don't be afraid to take a job for free, internship for a little while to get that experience and education, and see if there's any organizations that you can join if they have youth membership. You will definitely find the right mentors and people to guide you.
No doubt. Thank you, Miss Mack. I love it. I'm having to try to wind down, but I'm still fired up. We have to come back. We're going to have to take the whole day here, but I know we're on a time frame, so we got to stay true to the time because we want to get an invitation to come back. And so here, yes, Operation Hope does help existing businesses. And so feel free to definitely reach out to Rachel there who can help you understand financial reports. That's one of the courses in the 8-week entrepreneur training program, so you can understand what that looks like. And I'm sure Ms. Boswell can definitely get you up with QuickBooks to that specific questions around that. So yes, we can be able to help you. How do we contact the businesses on the panel? So great question. So I don't know if the businesses want to, take a look at the chat box and drop your email address there, maybe LinkedIn or whatever the case may be. I see some of us have already done it. Let's see what other questions we have here. As I'm looking for questions, Rachel, let's tee it up. We got, I want to hear a 15-second closeout from everybody. So Rachel, 15 seconds, 14, it's on you. Go ahead.
Operation Hope is an extraordinary organization, and we have so many resources. If you're not sure where to start with us. Everything that we do is at no cost to you. So reach out to me. I'm happy to help you. All my colleagues are just on deck behind the scenes, amazing, amazing coaches who are here to help you with your business.
Awesome. Thank you, Rachel. Miss Boswell.
Do it. Just do it. If it's a passion, if you love it, go for it. Take that leap of faith. Follow your heart, follow God, and all things will come to pass. He will make it work out for you, especially if it's your gift and your vision. Just do it.
Just do it. And I got a cue because we have to go. I'm sure Carl saying just do it, not to speak for them. Miss Mack said just do it. Just do it, just do it, just do it. It's been an awesome opportunity. We loved it. Jason, back over to you. Financial Summit, let's go, baby.
Thank you.
Wow, that was something. What an amazing panel. Thank you so much to Damian Carson, to Rachel Hood, to Carl Riley, to Renzi Boswell, to Adriane Mack, to the Chicago Treasurer Melissa Conyears-Ervin for bringing us all together. Thank you all for taking part in the Chicago Financial Empowerment Summit.
Thank you. Bye-bye.